Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the Seaman, and I want to welcome you to another edition of the Seaman's Cinema Sit Down. The kid's back, finally, man. Been gone basically for a week. I popped in, here and there with a couple, trailer reactions and some recent ones this morning, but the kid is finally back, man. I apologize for disappearing last week. I went to the Mets home opener, and everything after that did not go the way I thought it would. I needed to just take a needed break all around. I got a little run down, a little bit of a cold. But we are back, and we're going to make up for it on theater throwbacks because it is Thursday, and it is time for a theater throwback, and it's time to close out our Conjuring Universe, series that we started. There are 3 installments on the way, but of the first 5, we have finally reached the last of those 5. It's got some ups and downs. Maybe not my favorite, but certainly holds its place in the Conjuring universe. So why don't you pull up a chair, man, take a seat. We're getting ready to dive in spoiler-free into The Nun. As I said, this was the 5th installment, and this is actually one that's accurate based on the order that we've done them in. This was the last movie to come out from the universe. It's directed by Corin Hardy, who's only really done one feature. I did not see it, called The Hallows, I believe. And it feels kind of like a rookie director behind the camera. He does some nice things, and there are some nice moments, specifically in the pop scare realm. The one thing that works in this movie continuously is pop scares. And Hardy does a good job of setting those up. But the rest of the movie, for me, kind of feels like when you go on one of those haunted mazes, right? Like, everything in the middle between the scares. You just got to get through, and then the scares come, and you're like, oh, man. Sometimes you see them come, and sometimes you don't, but they still get you to jump. And that's what this movie does, man. Even ones that are telegraphed. Using the score and the pop effects, you do jump a lot in this movie, but overall, I thought Hardy did, an okay job. Nothing really special in this movie, I thought, from the directing or behind the camera. Writing-wise, Gary Dauberman back again, writer for Annabelle Creation, The Nun. He is doing Annabelle Comes Home, not only just writing, but also directing that one. And he has written the first chapter and working on the second chapter for it. So I like a lot of stuff that Gary Dauberman does, and although this isn't one of the stronger ones that he's done in the Conjuring universe, what he does from a writing perspective to tie everything in, this movie in particular really ties all 5 movies into a way where you're just like, you get to the end of this movie and you get some reveals. And you learn that, when we've heard the name of the nun, we've seen her in The Conjuring 2. So you get a little bit of backstory there on the demon specifically that's kind of inherited her and using her as, the form that it takes. It kind of explains all that stuff really well, and then does tie this directly back into the original Conjuring in a way where you get to the end of the movie and you go, oh, wow. So I thought that stuff was really impressive from Dauberman. But overall, like I said, the majority of this movie, it really just kind of feels like a haunted maze where, some of it is okay and entertaining, but most of it you're just like, I'm getting through this to get to the next scare. And this movie does a lot of that. The nun is rather terrifying and creepy. And when she pops out or does things, you do jump a lot. At least in the movie theater, I did. I remember jumping a lot in the movie theater. Second time through, being familiar with what was coming, didn't quite pop as well. But, we have a decent cast in here. Damian Bashir plays Father Burke, and does a decent job. And again, within Father Burke and some of the things that we learn with the nuns ties back into, some of the other movies. And you gotta look, there are Easter eggs all over the place in this movie. But Damian Bashir does a fine enough job as Father Burke. They don't really give him a ton. He is in one of the most suspenseful scenes of the movie. They kind of you've seen it in the trailers. They trap him in a coffin. And that sequence specifically is one of the ones where you're just like, oh man, because I don't do well with small spaces. But, like I said, a decent enough job from Damian Bashir. Really nice to see Tessa Farmiga in here. A big fan of her from American Horror Story. And considering that she's the sister to Vera Farmiga, kind of cool to get her into the Conjuring universe. Looks like a young Vera Farmiga. You're sitting there and you're like, man, dude, it's crazy. It's like they de-aged Vera and boom, there's Tessa. But she does a fine job. She's Sister Irene, our main nun that kind of runs us through this story and gets us out to the end, and with what they give her, she does a nice enough job. But all around, I didn't think any of the characters got enough to their development and depth to really attach yourself to any of them. So, you get decent performances, but the characters themselves kind of fall flat. Same thing goes with Jonah Bloquet, who plays Frenchie. But really, really interesting things done with his character, and he brings a little bit of comedy and a couple laughs. I enjoyed his performance, and then Bonnie Aarons, who plays the nun herself. Big props to her. She is terrifying. She was terrifying in The Conjuring 2. She is terrifying through this entire movie. And the stuff they do, the places they go with the nun are just wild. But I did enjoy the fact that we got kind of an origin to where, the nun came from. I liked getting that at the beginning. And like I said, the way that, the way that Dauberman is able to tie everything together, utilizing this movie to kind of make all 5 of these go, wow, that's like one kind of complete story. And from that perspective, I think that's impressive. But kind of generic in the middle. Pop scares pretty decent. And like I said, solid performances, just not enough character depth to the characters. So there you go, man. Those are all my non-spoiler thoughts on The Nun. Got through that one real quick, man. It's like I've been training. I'm back. I'm ready to go. But no, not a ton to say, man, because like I said, there's not a lot of depth to this one in particular. But I do like the way and where it fits within the Conjuring universe. I always like that, even the movies that don't hit, like Annabelle. I appreciate where they come from. Very similar to the Saw movies. The more and more you go down the Saw line, they get ridiculous, but I appreciate the way that James Wan and his team are able to stretch stories, and this isn't stretching too bad, but an okay outing for The Nun. But those are all my thoughts now. It is your turn, man. I want to know what you're thinking. Hit those comments down below. Let me know if you dug The Nun, if you didn't like The Nun, what worked and what didn't work in the movie, what performances you enjoyed, or if you just skipped out on it altogether. Let me know all that down below. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're new here, why don't you jump over there, man, hit that Cinema Sit Down subscription little button so you can come join in on all the fun we're having here. And then you can hit that little bell right after so you get alerts every time I make a new video. The Seaman's Cinema Sit Down, closing out our Theater Throwback Conjuring Universe series run that we've had. I am the Seaman, and I am signing off. Peace. Well, if you aren't still here, looking for something else to check out that's Seaman related, why don't you check out a video like this guy or this guy? And if you really want to help the Seaman out in year 2, hit that subscribe button and come join the Cinema Sit Down squad, kids. You know what to do. See ya.